Hello, Collab Design for Literacy students. This is Marcos, and this is our week 3 going to week 4 weekly briefing video. And I just want to recap how things went last week and talk about what's expected for this coming week to keep us on track with the baby board books we're designing together. And we had a great session on Thursday where we had remote groups, small groups meet while I'm basking in the sun here in Puerto Rico. Thanks for being flexible about that. And actually it worked out quite nicely. We had Demi join us for the sessions, and each of you got a chance to share your work and to get feedback from myself, from Demi, and then from some classmates as well. So I'm quite excited to see the kind of development that's going on with everyone's concepts and how you're zeroing in on your idea, developing your initial storyboards, and starting to build up your design language and your design process into a fully formed book. So we're gonna move towards that even further this week as we understand and respond to the feedback given in our meeting. Keep in mind everything we talked about. There's time to like still consider which way to go. Even if you're still deciding on between two concepts, I don't want to go take that too far, but yes, there's still time if you're not exactly sure. For sure, we should be exploring different kinds of possibilities for how your design approach for your book can be. So I want to make sure we take the time to do that, even though some of you may have simple concepts, simple in terms of just the way they look, but not simple in terms of how to get there or how sophisticated their ideas need to be. So sometimes simple is the hardest. So don't be fooled by the fact that you may not have a lot of layers in your illustration style, your type style, whatever it is. It has to be right. So it has to be the best. So explore that thoroughly, give yourself different options to weigh against. And then we're going to share, and share with me throughout the week if you need. And what we'll be doing is continuing to build our presentation further with our design development, and kind of shooting towards creating more spreads, maybe even creating all the spreads for your book. And what we're going to do is have, well, we're having online one-on-one sessions for review. I didn't edit that from last year. We're not going to do that. We're going to meet in class for a full class session to have everyone review. So I'll change that here to plan on a full class session to review your progress. And a little update, I still haven't heard back on the new classroom situation, if there's going to be one, so I'll try to follow up on that. But I did put the request in the night of our last 2 classes ago when we last met in class. There's been a full week, and I don't know if they're just too busy, but I might have to just do it again. So hopefully we'll change classes. Don't be mad at me if it doesn't happen. I'm trying, and maybe we'll have to do one more class there, but let's see how that goes. Okay, but let's look at our schedule here. So I want to give you guys like a context for the full project, or the remaining part of the project, so you know like when it's time to take your time, when it's time to rush. And it's definitely not time to rush at all. We have 6 parts of the project. We've gone through 2, and we're now kind of right in the middle on part 3. It's the design development presentation. And like I was saying before, this is really like, don't lock in yet. Like, get a sense of what's possible, build up that design direction, and then maybe put it aside and try a second one and see how they compare, maybe even a third. But this is where we don't necessarily get stuck with our first love. You know, the first thing we do, it's the one for life. Like, don't do that in this, and don't do that in other things. Like, explore other possibilities and make sure that you get the right one. So I'm encouraging everyone to kind of make sure that you have explorations towards how you can execute. Like, a lot of times the first ideas are like, they tend to be actually pretty good and can be great, but a lot of times they just lead to like a better idea. So if it takes you, if you get something down on paper and you see a book in front of you that's looking like it's going to be what you have in mind, that's a good thing. But also then, like I said, maybe just put it aside and say, how else can I do this? Are there ways I can refine what I was initially thinking. If I share with a friend or get feedback from somebody I know, or even from the class, is there another way altogether? This is the time for that. Like, I want you to spend this week weighing options and dealing with like refinements and how you can create your design. Because then part 4, after this next Thursday, will be about finalizing the design. And then there's like a whole nother week of design completion. So it is quite a good amount of time, and it's sort of meant for making sure that if, some of you may have simple in terms of like the way it's executed, the way it's drawn, the way it's designed, but others may have full-on, really detailed illustrations or collages or compositions that will take time. So I'm building in this extra week. And then part 6, final files, that's really the beginning of the next project. That's just when your final files will be due. So part 5, after design finalization, is going to really be about getting your design in production and getting everything finalized and packaged and sent to me so that we can get it to the printer and they can begin the printing process so that we get it back in time for our finals. Okay, so for design development, I want you to continue to create your design layouts using the provided InDesign template, which I went over in class, which is in your assignment link on Canvas. And I think I noticed that the Canvas link from last week wasn't published. Like, I forgot to hit the last button at the end. And I noticed somebody was asking, like, where do I put ours? Where's the Google Drive link? So that should have alerted me that I didn't publish it. So if you're not seeing that Canvas thing published, somebody's got to complain, like advocate, like get on my case. Like, where's the Canvas link? It's not, there's no assignment for this week. I had it done. It's kind of frustrating that I didn't put that published thing, but make sure if it's not showing up, somebody please complain to me. Okay, so there's the template. I'll show you again on the screen here, but there's a template for the InDesign file for this project. And what that means, it doesn't mean you should be illustrating your work in InDesign. It means you need to, and it ends up need to be an InDesign layout, but you might use Illustrator to make your illustrations. It might be Photoshop to make collages. However you work, they got to come together into InDesign. The typography should definitely be in InDesign. Don't be writing text, like text for if you're writing text in your story. Try to keep that in InDesign. Of course, you can design text in Illustrator if it's part of your illustration, but InDesign is kind of like the foundational platform for these layouts, and try to use it in that best way and not make everything in Illustrator or Photoshop, but make the image assets in those files and then bring them into InDesign. So you must keep so on the back cover, be sure your design includes the text panel. So on the back, there's that little text panel that's going to be there. So whatever you design on the back has to just be in the top 2/3. And can't go over that. You can't move it. It's got to be right where it's at. There's also some text in the InDesign panel. I'll show you when we get to the image, but you could put your name in there because it's going to give you credit in the back there. So add your updated cover and page layouts to your design presentation deck. So again, we're continuing to build our deck further as we've been doing the past 2 weeks, and we're going to expand our layouts even further now. In the end, when we do have this as the final, of course, you'll edit it down and there may be less images than you have now, but just keep adding to the deck. If you need to show variations to your design for review in order to finalize design of your cover and your layout spreads, this is the time to do it. This is the time to create options, and so that by end of next class, you'll then be locked in on where you'll be going so that you can complete the full design. There's a Google Drive link on Canvas again. Make sure you let me know if you don't see that. And for our week 4 class, this is wrong. We're not going to meet in small groups. We're going to meet as one big class in our hopefully new classroom. Let's change it. Okay, so let's take it to the next slide. This is the Google Drive. I mean the Canvas page, and there is a link here for the template that has the InDesign file. So please, this is now the time for sure. You should have that and be using it. The Google Drive link is here. So utilize that. And then this is just a reminder, we're building a deck from week 1 through now. So you'll be adding in before the thank you page, you'll be continuing the design process here. And for sure now you should have your storyboard figured out, and you may, after last class or after the work you've done now, you may be wanting to update it. Kind of keep this current, because this is kind of your guide. This helps you see what you're doing in one view. And for sure, don't miss this. Don't have too many spreads. Don't have too little spreads. You need to have 7 spreads. Not cover in the back is 1 spread. Remember, it's separated here, which is fine, but it's considered 1 spread. So there's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It has to be that number. It can't be less. It can't be more. That's the way these BB board books are published. That's the way the paper folds up. That's what makes them affordable, is you can't add a page just because you have a new idea, or take a page away because you don't have enough ideas. It has to be 7 spreads. So make sure you have 7 spreads. Make sure you figure out how your story is going to go from beginning to end. You know, take the time now. If you're writing text, like, read through it. A lot of the advice we were given from Demi was to simplify things. Don't try to overstate a story. Don't try to build up a narrative too much. It's about repeating words or saying things that are exciting to reveal, things that might rhyme, or things that might be repeated in a way that helps stimulate learning and have a younger viewer be excited and engaged with this. This is the InDesign template that I've been talking about. And again, you see there are 8 spreads, because the first one here at the top is the cover spread, and is the cover and the back and the spine. So here we see the spine, and the back here has this UPC code. Leave that alone. In here it says right here on the 3rd line, this dirt book was designed and illustrated by, and then your name. So if you want to put your name in here, great, or I'll do it. You can put your name on the spine as well as part of the design. You can put your name on the cover. You don't have to, but depending on what your cover design concept is. But for sure it'll be here on the back. But I think the spine is kind of a must-have. And the cover, don't ruin your design if it's like a cool, simple thing for the sake of your name. Sorry. And remember the bleed. We've got a red bleed line here that's outside of the live area. So if you have a color field, the box will have to open up and be expanded to that, so that when they trim the book, they have extra to trim off, so it won't be some little annoying white line because they missed the edge when they were trimming it. But if you have a composition, you're going to have to make sure that it's touching the edge. It's going to like make your drawing bigger than it is, or it's going to have to be enlarged to go outside of that, and that you might not like that. That might not work for you. So if you're making specific layouts that touch the edge, make sure that you know that it's going to have to be wider. So make your picture bigger than it needs to be, or make it friendly to be enlarged to fit into that bleed. All right, so now when we're working on this, like, start to use your template. You can see here, there's the dirt logo at the bottom corner. Use your template, create, and the cover and the back, you're going to see it like this in the template. And designing it like this is important. You can see like the cover is on the right here, the back's on the left, and here's the spine nicely defined with a design. This isn't final. She ended up putting the name of the book here, because one thing to know about the spine, if you think about what is the thing that's going to be the most seen in a tragic way about your book, potentially, possible, for sure, it's going to be the spine. It's going to be sitting on a shelf. Of course, it'll be out in people's hands. Of course, people will be reading it. I'm not saying they're not. But in the end, it's going to be sitting on a shelf the most of the time of its life, kind of like how we sleep a third of our lives, same thing. And the spine is going to be the thing you're going to see, and you should put attention to it. So it could have a nice dynamic design like this, but it should also have the name of the book and your name as well, and the dirt logo. Don't touch it. And then the back, see the back as kind of almost like a teaser, like it could be a summary of what the book was like. It could be part of the end of the book, but it's also part of the beginning of the book. Like somebody looks at that and they begin to think about like, oh, what's in here? I want to know more. Right? Or it could be an introduction to your character, like meet our new friend. And then inside you see the new friend. So the back has got a nice role, and the spine has a role too, so don't take that for granted. But when you're designing, also don't think about it as a flat thing all the time. Like it has to look good like this as well. So I recommend that you separate the cover and show it like this, so that you get a good sense of what it looks like. in the real world. And again, when we're talking about simplicity and design and elegance, this is a great example. Somewhere feelings, it's not meant to be like in the kid language that maybe we tend to want to do. It's very sophisticated in terms of its typography and design. And I think it's going to appeal not only to kids where they can see these letters and begin to point to them, but to the parents who want to have the right kind of stuff in their new baby room, and they want to feel like having a baby is not going to be an interruption to the curated lifestyle they've been having as a couple, and now they've got another person, but they can still continue to have this kind of like beautiful, cool life by having these dirt books that don't just have the kid aesthetic in mind, but have an adult aesthetic in mind as well. And so here, this is some of the things that these are very subtle differences. Should it be a white background? Should it be a cream background? But this is the time to start exploring what should it be and talking about it. So again, the different executions in the design, as you can see, this is very subtle. So I'm not saying you should be doing it this subtle. I wouldn't mind if it was like, here's one way of doing this book, and then the next page, here's a whole nother way, different typeface, different illustration style. You can even do that as well. But if you're just keeping it kind of minimal like this and looking at different ways to make the design work, this is very subtle. So don't be fooled, like maybe you should do a whole nother design development direction. But this is the time to do that. So just look out at how you can do that using type, color, different details in the illustrations, and really, be open to like changing what you thought you were doing in the first place. And like you might think like this kind of layout's pretty good, but if you're like, okay, if I really want this thing to explode, then let's make it explode. This is the time to start looking at that. All right, so work on your design layouts. This is where the Canvas assignment is. And I hear it's green. I think that means it's been posted. I don't know why these are faded green. Hopefully, if these aren't posted, somebody let me know. The Google Drive, the new one, all of them are up. So the new one's part 3. We're going to use that one for next week. And that's it for now. So think about how you can make your baby a board book, go to the next step, and take the time. Like we have plenty of time, so you don't have to be stressed out. But use your time wisely. This is going to be a cool piece. You're going to be holding in your hand like 20 years from now, 40 years from now. Like make it great. It's good, and it can hopefully it'll be like in the hands of other people as well. But this is a chance for you to make a beautiful object. And everyone has a great idea, and everyone has something that's got something to offer that's going to be new and different. So this is your moment. Like take the time to really make something as special as you can make it, and put in the effort. You've got the resources, you got the skills, you got the time, you got the passion, you got all the formula. So just plug those things together. Don't let life and the stresses of everyday New York City get to you. Like bring in that energy. If it's negative, turn it into positive energy. And be confident. Know you guys got lots of talent. You guys got something to say, and this is your time to do it. So time to shine, guys. I want to see greatness come out of you, and I know you can do it. I'm here to help you do that. So keep going. I'm going to keep enjoying my time here in Puerto Rico, but I'll be back next week, and we'll see you in class, and I'll let you know if we have a new class. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.